at life as it's been before, holding on to things that might have been, knowing that this day will never come again, as my spirit's guiding me to a place where I am free to be all.
And welcome to Soul Chat. My name is Jane McGuire.
And I'm Elena Russo.
Yay, she remembered. I think actually you might get the hang of this one of these days.
I should do this sometime for
Yeah,
a
you know,
living.
we should be
Yeah.
professional talk show hosts maybe.
Aren't we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's clear that up. And as the song was playing, our board monitor, George, said that he did not do the disclaimer. So the views and opinions are strictly mine and Elena's, and not necessarily
Some of them-
those
and
of
some
All
of them
Talk
are-
Radio.
Yeah, some of them are just mine.
Right? And some are just mine, but not necessarily the views and opinions of the owner or manager here at All Talk Radio.
That's right. And
Done.
He's a board monitor. How
He's
bored
a
are
board
you,
monitor.
George?
Right? Oh, God. We're going to get him
Depends on the
started
day.
now.
Depends on who's on the mics, right?
That is also
That's
true.
all right.
Well, those guys, those lucky guys, those mics.
Yeah. So I wanted to say something first before we got going, because I
Sure.
had a couple of interesting discussions this week about ISIS, which I know you and I have been talking
Yes,
about on the side all the
yes.
time through. And a friend of mine from San Diego called in, and we were talking, and she went through the program I did with Gary Zukav
right.
and emotional awareness and reactions. And that one is really focuses on, if you're having an emotional reaction to something, the first place to go is to look inside, because
Mhm.
it may be all about you. It may be all about me. If you say something
Right.
and I get mad, instead of going, blah, and
Right.
just throwing up whatever that anger is all over you, I need to go in and say, what is it that's really triggering here? Is this something that's mine, or is what's
Well,
going on?
I don't necessarily resonate with someone beheading people.
No,
You know, that's just...
I'm not going there at all, because there's nothing in this world that is okay with that.
Right.
There's that kind of violence. We are the only animal species in the world that does that.
Yeah, and it's
You know?
interesting because I'm going to put a little bit of a spin on it, because I've had some interesting conversations with
Right.
clients and friends about this too. I've related some of that to you. The first one I'm going to go to is, I believe, I saw it on the NBC Morning News. They take the cuts from Jimmy Fallon from
Right.
the night before.
Right.
And he had his Obama impersonator talking, and usually that's a little too late for me. I don't stay up and watch him, but they had this guy who was impersonating Obama, and just down to the T with the facial expressions and all of that stuff, and he's talking about ISIS and how they're just, and then he uses the term ISIL, and then he says that they're all just ice holes.
Yeah, that's really good.
I thought that was
Which I
hilarious.
really appreciate that kind of humor, because that kind of humor is exactly when I say I love to watch Blazing Saddles. 'Cause
Yes.
Mel Brooks turned around
Yeah.
one of the worst things about Hate and Prejudice.
Yeah, he did.
He neutralized it with humor.
Yeah, and that's what
And
what
that's
you
what-
do.
that's what
That's
we're
what
doing
you
it.
do. And I did it. It totally I understand the severity of it, and
Right.
neither you nor I obviously approve of
Not at all.
violence in any kind like this. It's totally toxic.
I
But-
would like to think, if I saw that coming and happening in front of me, I would like to think I would do everything I could to stop it.
I would like to think that if I was carrying a gun that I would stop it also, like the guy in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
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 Off-duty cop who shot the American that had converted to Muslim and beheaded a woman.
Yeah, I never heard about that, because I don't watch the news.
Right. See,
See, I
and
don't
that's another difference between the two of us.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
that
yeah.
definitely goes to.
And I used to.
Yeah.
But I have to say, in order for me to be clear, and in order for me to help people the way I do and work with them the way I do, I can't have that interaction. It just kind of pulls me back, and I just don't deal with it
See,
well. So I have to not listen to it. And I still, it doesn't mean I don't listen to what people are saying. If I
Right.
hear something, I'll go to the internet, or I'll go someplace and I'll look it up for myself.
Well, for me, what I do is I listen to the news as I'm getting ready in the morning, and as you know, in the mornings I go and I pray the rosary. So even if I'm not feeling clear, by 8:30, I'm clear,
yeah, no.
because it's
By
watch
8:30,
it
I'm
first.
almost deciding I'm on the planet.
Right. Which leads us into our topic for today,
Right.
which is ceremonies and rituals, and we all have rituals.
Well, I want to step back one time, because I didn't get a chance to say what I was going to say.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes,
Yeah,
we'll step
okay,
back into
all
that.
right. what I wanted to say is that I had a conversation with this friend of mine who had gone through the Zukov program, and we were talking about it from that perspective, okay? And looking at it and going, isn't it amazing that in all the years, how many presidential, how many presidencies, how much effort have we put into uniting the Arab world?
Mm-hmm.
And in actuality, the Arab world is now uniting against ISIS.
Yes, they are.
Which is amazing.
It is.
So, not that any of that
Yes.
needed to happen, because it didn't, but look what it took
Yeah.
for that to happen.
Yeah, the beheading of two Americans and one
Numerous.
and one Brit, and the horrible things that are going on in Syria.
Kurdistan,
Yeah.
I mean, on the refugees that are happening. So
Mhm.
look what it took. What can we do to unite ourselves? Doesn't matter whether it's this situation or anything else. What is it going to take for us to unite without going to that extreme with all of that pain?
Well, the simple answer to that is to let go of anger and fear and hatred. That's the simple answer. I'm not saying it's
From
simple.
Gandhi to bombing.
Right.
There's something in
Right.
between.
But even the Pope came out a couple of days ago and said that, when you're defending yourself, war is okay, which is completely contradictory to what John Paul II said, which is war is never good. But because Christians are being persecuted and beheaded and the horrible things that they're teaching the children over there, this Pope has actually come out and said, no, please step up and do something, which is,
so
he's
look
supposed
what's
to be a man
happening
of
again.
peace.
Well, and so look what's happening again.
Yeah.
Things are changing again. So
Mhm.
this is the time. And Mary Rose, who's going to be here next week.
I can hardly wait. I'm very excited.
Yeah, very excited. She's going to be here, and she'll talk about this. But Pluto just came out of retrograde a week ago yesterday, which Pluto is a planet that moves very, very slowly. So when it comes out of retrograde, it's a big deal. And
Yeah.
that's all, and it's no mistake that it comes out of retrograde and we're bombing Syria. And things
Mhm.
that have been not happening will all of a sudden happen in a big way. And
Yeah.
things that have been hidden, or things that are secretive, or things that have been lied about, the truth is going to
It's
come
gonna
out.
come out.
And that's what I've been experiencing for the last week.
Yeah, and me also on a personal level, but
Mhm.
we're also, and again, I can hardly wait till Mary Rose is here. We're also heading into Mercury retrograde, and I don't know if you don't listen to the news, but I've been listening to the traffic reports, and sure enough, you can tell more and more accidents because
Yeah,
we're in the
it's
shadow of
coming.
Mercury retrograde,
Yeah,
and
so
that
it's
starts
like from
October
the-
7th.
Yeah, so they're saying 3 days before. She says 3 days before and 3 days after. So from about the 4th to the 27th is when you're really going to start seeing it.
I've heard other astrologers say 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after.
And again, it's like the Pope, it's an opinion.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
And we will talk more about Mercury retrograde and the blood moon, because that's going to be an interesting combination next week, because Tuesday, a week from today, is the last blood moon of the year and the first day of Mercury retrograde.
So it's going to be an interesting thing. In
Yeah.
fact, this Sunday, we'll say it at the front end this time. This Sunday, I will be at Well of the Moon from 4 to 6.
Oh, well, I'm not going to be at work because I'm going to be at the Meadows.
You're going to be there from 2 to 4.
I'm going to be there from 2 to 4.
So run over and see Jane from 2 to
Right.
4, and then come to the Well of the Moon at
Right.
4 to 6, because what I'm going to be doing for the 2 hours is preparing for this energy that's going to be happening.
Well, I'm going to run after and catch what I can of the fourth
the football
quarter.
games, the fourth quarter,
The
yeah.
fourth quarter.
And the war keeps going on. All right. So on to rituals and ceremonies.
Rituals
Yeah.
and ceremonies, and I looked this up on the internet because I thought this was an interesting topic. This is continuing our discussion on spirituality and religion. And I just know, I'm going to say from my own experience, and I've mentioned this many times, I grew up Catholic, still in some areas a practicing Catholic. And if you want to talk about a religion that is based on the combination of ceremony and ritual, it
You mean the
is-
rituals they borrowed from the pagans?
Right. But it is definitely, the Catholic Church has ritual and it has ceremony. And ceremony, one of the articles I found on the internet was interesting, and it said basically ceremony is for people of all faiths to celebrate life, to have fun, like weddings. That's a ceremony in and of itself. But if you divide it down into religion, in any of them, there's a ritual. The pagans have hand fasting. The Catholics and the Christians have a marriage. And in the Catholic Church, you can have what I did, which was the 20-minute marriage ceremony, or you can have the hour-and-a-half ritual.
I was the maid of honor in an hour-and-a-half Catholic ceremony.
And you got your exercise, didn't you?
Yes, because I was 8 months pregnant at the time.
Oh, God.
And the bride actually had to help me up after I'd been on my knees for 20.
My cousin
an
was
hour.
my cousin was 8
Yeah.
months pregnant at my wedding, and so but yeah, it could at that point I might have told the bride that you wanted a chair instead of kneeling and standing and doing the, as your friend likes to put it, the hokey pokey.
Yeah, where you turn yourself around. Yeah,
Yeah.
got it.
So what is the difference between ceremony and ritual? And tell us a little bit about what you've experienced in your life with this. If you want to call in, the number is 702-609-7626. And if you can't get in there, you can go to Skype and type in the search bar All Talk Radio and call in from Skype. And tell us about your experiences with ritual and ceremony.
Now, see, for me, ritual is something in my world. Okay, is something that we do. There are healing rituals. There are rituals, and to me, they're done with a certain intent.
Mhm.
There's an intent behind them that drives what's going on, as opposed to many times people with OCD. They'll talk about their rituals that they do.
Right. Well, I get up and have coffee every morning.
Well, we all have a ritual that we get up.
Right.
I get up and I make sure that I go to the bathroom first before I take the dog. Because that might be a disaster.
Right.
you
And
know.
that's a ritual.
That's a ritual. However, the rituals that we're talking about usually have an intention to them. And one of the rituals that you've heard me mention on the show before is actually soul retrieval.
Yes.
And that ritual, it's a ritual journey, and it's a healing journey, and it's done to go and retrieve a part of someone's soul essence that has gone unconscious, been disconnected, however you want to describe that experience, that causes people to feel less than who they are.
And I can tell you, I'm just going to give you an endorsement right now. I think you've done 3 or 4 soul retrievals on me. I lost count.
Yeah, I've lost count how many I've done, period.
And let me tell you something. This technique works because she brings back a piece of the soul, energetically puts it into your body, and then you finish up the ritual with whatever it is that you do.
Actually, the ritual finishes with a celebration.
It does, because you're
And a
bringing back a
ceremony.
piece of life.
Yeah, because there's a period of time afterwards that's very important. It's very important because we need that part to feel like it's welcomed home. So one of the things to welcome home, if you think about it, is a celebration.
Right.
It's
Absolutely.
a ceremony. If you think about it, a wedding it's a binding, but at the same time, it's also it's a ceremony. It's a celebration. It's always followed with a party. It's got typically.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we've mentioned before, when we've talked about grieving on past shows, is that one of the things that has happened in the ceremony for when someone has crossed over, when someone has passed on, when someone has died, those ceremonies have diminished and diminished and diminished. Not so much in the churches,
Maybe.
but for the average person. Like we said, you're lucky
The
if you get a
average
pot.
person,
Yeah.
yeah.
If you want, you can buy an
An
urn
urn.
and maybe a potluck. I mean, it's not. And you may not get that.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of people I'm working with where they haven't done that yet.
And I've got, you were talking, and I've got a
Yep.
couple clients that haven't done that either. But then you talk about now, I don't know if you saw this also, but there was a private ceremony for Robin Williams over the weekend. And it was all about releasing his soul and doing all of that. And we've discussed numerous times, I'm Irish, I'm basically Catholic. But, when we go to a funeral, we joke around. It's just part of the Irish tradition. I mean, there's the old joke, what's the difference between an Irish wedding and an Irish funeral? There's one less drunk at the funeral.
Yeah.
But the funerals, or the celebration of life as they're now being called, for the Irish Celtic folk, they're fun. They're uplifting, they're fun, there's toasts, there's remember when he did this and she did that, and it turns out to be really truly a celebration of life.
Right.
And I think that might be unique to the Celtic culture. But I know that, you do that too?
No. I don't think that's unique to the Celtic culture. I think there are other cultures that do the same thing, but in
Probably
their
the
ways.
Germans.
Yeah, the difference between traditions and ritual is part of tradition.
Yes. And when
So
do
it's
we
important
outgrow?
to know that,
Yeah.
And I just think that we've gone in our life, we've tended to, things have taken place of certain rituals. Like at Christmas time, we've heard, every year there's somebody that's talking about, why did this get so commercialized?
Yeah. Well, it's commercialized if you allow it
Christmas
to be.
turned into a habit instead of a ritual.
Yeah. But I think each family develops their own traditions or rituals. Like my family, with the kids growing up, we created a Christmas village under the tree with a train that went around. Now, that was not something I did growing up, but that was part of Gary's family. That was what they did.
Well, being Scandinavian, one of the big things is that we all had Swedish pancakes.
And did you celebrate, was it
Beforehand.
St. Lucia Day? Isn't
Oh,
that
I don't
like-
know. I don't know because I didn't come from a family that practiced any specific religions. So I knew for me personally, my own tradition, my own ritual would be I loved singing on Christmas Eve in church someplace.
you know,
loved singing.
And I remember a
someplace.
time in San Francisco in the late 60s, early 70s, putting all the other 60s aside, that we could gather up the neighborhood kids and we'd all have the books and we could go and carol. That hasn't been done for years. People now are caroling or singing in major centers and cities. They're not doing the neighborhood caroling that was done when I was a kid.
Right. And in some cases, it's because there's areas that are too dangerous. To
Oh,
do that. I mean,
absolutely.
there's
absolutely.
reasons
It's for
all of
safety
that.
reasons.
Yeah.
Of course it's it.
But
it
I
is.
think what's interesting to note is that as a human species, I believe that we tend towards ritual.
Mhm.
I think it's an important part of our being that in some places we have let it go.
Well,
know?
and yeah, but it also is, it goes back to what you like to do. It's a sense of building community, of
It is.
commonality.
It builds community. It ties people
Yeah.
together.
Mhm.
And one of the things I wanted to be sure and say is that the ritual or the ceremony or however you want to term it, whether it's a ritual for someone crossing and we need to honor them
Mhm.
and there's certain things that we do, or it's a celebration of life that they've
Right,
crossed over.
or a wedding.
It's as
or-
important for the spirits on the other side, for
Yes.
the person that has crossed, it's like closing the door for them as well. So it's not just for us; it's truly for our spirit.
But it's also to give us, I believe, a foundation. For example, again, in the Christian religions, you know, at a certain age you get baptized. In some religions you get baptized when you're born, others you baptized when you're an adult. Then you go through the teachings and then you get, you know, first communion or you get confirmed, all of that. And those happen at certain ages because we know more at age 5 than we do at age 2. We know more at age 10 than we did at age 5. So I think part of this is to give us that sense of, yes, we are growing, we are maturing in not just our life, but in our faith.
Well, but again, it's that tradition that's got an intention. You've now gone from 13. You are now 14. Let's
Yeah.
say 14 is a big age. I think for many cultures, the boys.
In the Jewish religion, that's when they have the bar mitzvah.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So it's an intention. It's a door opening energetically in certain ways, and I don't think we have enough of that. I think
we've absolutely moved away from it.
we've moved away from it, and
Yeah.
and in many places it's important. I mean, I looked forward to Christmas time when I was a kid because my mother always invited people that didn't have any place to go for Christmas.
I did that on Thanksgiving for years when my kids were growing up.
Now, is that a ritual? Not necessarily, because it's a tradition, but the ritual actually has an intention so that there are certain things that you're doing.
Right.
Like, if you're going to let go of someone, if you've got someone in your past that you've finally decided, and you've heard the old phrase, I need to let go of this person. I need to let go of this old relationship. A ritual, a healing ritual that you can do is you can write their name at the top of a piece of paper, say to them everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, that you need to say to them, put sage in it, you've seen me do this with people, and then you do a ceremony where you put it in the fire,
burn
and
it.
when you're doing it, you don't release it to them. In my belief system, you release it to the spirits. You release it to the spirit and ask the spirit to deliver it like a spiritual mailbox when it's time for that person to receive it. And it's amazing the people that will feel much lighter when they're done.
Yes, and you've done that with me, and it's actually a practice that I do recommend to clients because, let's face it, if you're trying to let go of someone, especially if it's really a bitter relationship, you're not necessarily going to want to call them up and say, I'm letting go of you, because you could be opening doors.
Oh, I've heard people that have tried.
Yes.
And then
yes.
they get in an argument, and then we're back to where we were.
Exactly. So there are people that you want to energetically let go of, and what you find, and I did this with a mutual friend of ours. In fact, the message I'd received when I was doing this ceremony was that I wasn't going to have to do any energy work on her. We did a ceremony releasing our anger at the finances. and how finances had been a difficult thing, and we were, let go of credit cards. We let go of all the energy. Not that we're not paying our credit cards, but we let go of the energy, the resentment behind it.
Right.
And then after that, she actually said that she felt a shift in her body.
But you see, what drove that was that intention.
Yes.
You went into it with the intention, and you went into it with a certain way you were going to do it. So there's many ways to put rituals together. You can create
Sure,
one.
sure, absolutely. And so some of the things that are common to both what you and I do are candles, stones, music, especially for you, music, and prayer or invocations. And so those are the basic elements of what you can do.
Right, and you can work anything into it that you want. My suggestion is, of course, there are the kinds of rituals that go to the dark side.
Right,
I mean,
but
is
we're
that-
of the light. We don't
right,
discuss
but
that.
the point is, yeah, we do. What is this? What do you mean we don't discuss
First
that?
argument. Oh my God.
Oh no, there's been more than that. But I mean, I think that you have to look at the dark side. You don't have to step into it, but
Right.
you have to look at the dark side, because I need to know the shadows in my places of my personality in order to heal them. There's
Right.
no way to heal them without knowing it.
Right,
It
and
just
that's
isn't.
and again, which goes back to we usually
Right.
have to walk the path first.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there are healing rituals, and then this is where voodoo has gotten such a bad name for itself, because it's been Hollywoodized, it's been televised, it's brought up in things. There was a part of voodoo that wasn't dark, but not many people know that.
I wouldn't. Yeah.
Yeah. See, and you wouldn't want to believe it.
Yeah, and it's just not anything that I'm even interested in.
Right.
The dark or the light part is just not
Right.
something that calls to me.
But there are those rituals as well, and that's how curses get put on. So you have to be careful, because curses are driven by some kind of life force, and it can be as simple as extreme anger.
Right.
So that's how they get put on. So those rituals are there as well. So you need to know that the intention has to do, you got to be careful, where are you directing it? Am I directing it to the highest and best good, or am I directing it to greed, or am I directing it to, and when I'm doing it to greed, doing a ritual, I would never do a ritual to bring myself more money.
Right.
I might do a ritual to clear myself so that the abundance can come in, but that's a whole different feeling than, okay, I'm going to do a ritual so I'm going to get more money.
Right. The Buddhists have
not
mantras
gonna
for
work.
that. The Buddhists have mantras for prosperity and abundance, and the way that I've seen it happen is you put out the intent for abundance in not just finances, but in health, in relationships, and all that, and then you do add the caveat of to my highest good. And then I find a lot of people add with grace and ease, because there's been days when I've prayed for abundance, a lot of readings, and then the universe like, okay, and I got slammed.
And what happens is if you invoke the universe, or you invoke your guiding spirits, or whoever it is that you pray to, and you say, okay, I'm ready, bring it on.
Yeah,
Use me
and
for the
they
highest and
will.
best good. And they go, well, finally, boom, and there you go.
Right.
Yeah, I've had a week of that myself.
That's why you ask with grace and ease, in a balanced manner. It is actually going back to be careful what you ask for. Because you have to be very, very careful with your words. So some of these rituals and ceremonies that we do, you do full moon ceremonies. In fact, you and I just supported. You did a ceremony over the weekend.
Did I?
Was it on the weekend? Yeah, it was Sunday. Or Saturday.
Oh,
it was
I did,
Saturday.
didn't I? Yeah, it was
Yes.
a life cycle.
Yeah.
So celebrating the life cycle. Yeah, that was fun.
That was
weird.
fun. That was a lot of fun. We went up
Yeah.
to, Elena went to do, well, I should let you tell the story.
Yeah, I was. Somebody posted on Facebook that they were going up to Calico Canyon, and I don't remember how I got on that list, but it was about. And she said, "Does anybody have a drum?" And I said, "Well, not only do I have a drum, I can do this,
Right.
So we offered to show up and invited Jane along, because she'd been wanting me to see that place up there.
Yes, for
Exactly where we
months.
were. And then
Yep.
we did this thing where we didn't know where the hell we were going.
Right, we walked right by them.
We walked right
Yeah.
by them,
Instruments
packing
and,
drums.
instruments and all, yes.
Walked 2 miles and came back, and yeah, that was fun. So, and it was really, we had a young mother that was really in a lot of a nervous anticipation. She had some health issues going on. She's down the last few weeks of giving birth, and the intention of this gathering was to really create a nice space for celebrating birth.
Yeah.
For celebrating that life cycle that it was going on. So we ended up going up there and doing that. And if you want to see, I posted a picture on our Facebook page just
Actually, I
Okay.
think the profile picture you put up is us next to each other. In the
Well,
group
one of
shot.
them was, and then I
Yeah.
decided it was kind of far away, so I put the other one back up there
Okay.
again. So we did that. Of course, we celebrated the night before because we went to Rod Stewart.
That was
That's right.
so much fun.
That was so much fun.
And
yeah.
and that I posted this on my Facebook page, but that video he did with the veterans
For
and
the Veterans
and
of Wounded Warrior
wow,
Project, that was
very
tremendous.
powerful.
Really tremendous.
very
yeah.
powerful.
So, but see that video, I suppose you could loosely construe it as being a ceremony.
Sure,
or
it was an
ritual,
honor, it was a
because
tribute.
because the intention was to honor that energy and to
Mhm.
honor what's going on.
Yeah.
So
And he took the time. What I liked was he took the time out of his concert,
right.
removed the spotlight literally from him, and put it on this video.
Yeah, he told everybody watch.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
anybody's got a dry eye, and I
and
don't
he
know
didn't
that
he
anybody
didn't
did.
sing
you know?
while I was starting to tear up, but
Yeah.
he did not sing during that during the short video.
Yeah.
So
So the next day we did go up to Calico Canyon and we did do this drumming circle kind of thing, and we did a ceremony that just kind of opened up, and it was all women. I think
Mhm.
if you notice on the page that I posted, it was grandmothers and mothers and daughters and soul sisters and grandchildren, and
mhm.
you know, it is the life cycle.
Yeah, there were I think three boys there.
Yeah, but they didn't care.
They were just banging the drum.
They were banging the drums. They didn't really care. You
Right.
know? So we had that going, and it was a nice feeling. And the mom came up, the young mom came up that was really concerned and gave me a hug. And I noticed she was shaking. She was
Mhm.
vibrating. So something
Good.
happened.
Good.
Something happened for her. So
Good.
that was a good thing. But that was an interesting ritual, and it was a celebration.
Yes. Yes.
So I think the point is to watch the rituals that you're involved in. Look at the intention.
Yeah. Yeah. And
What
I
is it
think
for?
for me, like I said, I like to get up and pray the rosary. And what I do on the rosary is I do, when I'm not so deep in the meditation part of it, I put an intention on each bead.
Mm.
And I've noticed that when I do that, the day tends to flow for me. And there's days I forget because I do meditate and pray at the same time. So I tend to go deep, and then I remember, oh, I have to lead one of them. I have to lead one of the decades.
Yeah, see, I'd get lost on that. Too many rules. Okay.
Well, yeah, but
Couldn't do
I don't
that.
tell people. Well, I mean, now they know if they're listening.
Yeah.
I don't tell them what I'm doing at the time.
Mm.
You know, I just know that at a certain point of it, I have to come out and lead it and do some of the prayers.
Now, see, what I do is I get up in the morning and I go out and sing to the sun.
Yeah, see, I
then I
think the
have-
sun might go dark if I sang to it.
I don't think so.
I don't know, it
don't
might
think
cloud
so.
up and rain.
several clients that I've had and several people that have been in my healing circles, I have given that out.
Yes.
You know, that it's just a song. And if you don't feel like you can sing, you could just chant it. I mean, it's the same thing. And, you know, this is a thing where I welcome the sun. I ask it to take the pain and take it down below, meaning down into
Mhm.
Mother Earth, into the cool waters of Mother Earth. And then I add to it something like, I have thoughts, I am not my thoughts. I have
Yep.
worries, I am not my worries. I have a mind, I am not my mind. The
Yeah,
body.
similar to the affirmations that we have.
And then there's a
absolutely.
little song I sing. After that, it's about, you know, I'm a light standing here, da-da-da, you know, kind of like this
Mhm.
little light of mine, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the dog's running around me the whole time,
But
celebrating.
I think God would just be laughing and going, okay, let's do some thunder and lightning and let's go bowling, and because this is not Jane's gift.
Yeah. But it's amazing. We do that at some of the shamanic trainings I've been in. We actually go out every morning and greet the sun.
I think, and I know the Essenes have a practice with that also.
And I've walked out. There's a place I like to walk out to and say goodbye to the sun.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, there's full moon ceremonies that we've done. And the full moon ceremonies, there can be healing rituals within them.
Mm-hmm.
But the ceremony itself is welcoming, Grandmother Moon one more time for eons. If you think about it, she's been coming up long before we were here.
Yeah, and
She's seen a lot.
And there's a lot of, not just here in Las Vegas, but globally, there's a lot of meditation groups that get together as a group and bring down that divine energy. It's very powerful during the full moon.
Yeah, it is. And interesting things happen. This one is going to be interesting because, like you said, we have Mercury retrograde, which just means there's going to be communication challenges coming up between cars and people
Right,
and people
cars,
and,
right?
and
and electronics are going to go haywire, and there's going to be miscommunications.
There's going to be a challenge.
Right. So
yeah,
my advice,
George is over here going, oh, God,
because
no.
I've survived a few Mercury
We'll
retrogrades
do a
with
ritual
George.
and put a bubble around you, okay?
But
All right.
my advice to people would be Be patient with yourself and other people and leave 15 minutes earlier than you normally do for work.
Yeah.
That would be my advice. But there is a good side to Mercury retrograde, and that is that it acts as an amplifier. So if you are thinking very positively, it will amplify that.
And if you're thinking
If
negatively,
it will
amplify that as well.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. So it really is a time to be in as high faith or as high peace and passion and compassion, all those neat things, strength, all that, as much as possible.
Yeah, just know that it is a time of communication challenges.
Not only that, but we're entering October. So this is traditionally a very mystical month because of Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of you may have heard of the phrase, the veil between the world thins. How many of you actually want to know what that means? Call in right now. 702-609-7626, right? I know, we have no lines lit up. That's because everybody's listening.
Yeah, but I just learned a secret last week that George said. He goes, oh, yeah, nobody left the show. I mean, I didn't know he could even tell if people, I mean, are they leaving the show now? Are they hanging in there?
They're staying. Okay, well, all of you that are
So we
staying
know
on the
people
show,
are listening.
right? You can call in at 702-609-7626. But the veil thinning between the worlds, what does that mean, and is there a ceremony for that?
Yeah, it's called death.
Well, actually, in my world, in my world, being in the psychic spiritual world, it's about people can have more metaphysical experiences. Even the average quote non-believer, if you want to call them an atheist or whatever,
Well,
can have spiritual experiences.
there is some thought that you'll hear the term when somebody is getting close to passing. You will hear the veil is getting very thin.
Mm-hmm.
And you will hear the same thing referred to people that are having mental illness problems. They'll say
Yes.
that the veil is very thin to them. They not only hear what's going on this side, they hear what's going on the other side.
Right, right.
So the veil is that thing that keeps this reality separate from the other side.
And it's an energy veil.
It's an energy
Yeah.
veil. It's not a curtain that, you know.
Well, for
it's
some
not like a
people, it's a
well,
curtain.
yeah, some people.
For some people, it's
Sometimes a
rose-colored
horse
glasses.
blanket, you know.
But it is about. It's easier in my world for the angels to come through. There's in that aspect. So it's interesting that we've got Mercury retrograde, the blood moon, and this mystical month of October all kind of wrapped up into one.
Well, and Mary Rose too. We'll talk about that when she comes on. This year we have had all the planets in retrograde at the same time.
And people have asked me, I haven't been able to get things started. Things have been crazy. This is, I think we had 2 weeks in June where there was, or at the end of May, beginning of June, that nothing was retrograde.
No, they've all been retrograde.
No, but I mean, we came out of.
No, they've all been
We
retrograde.
came out of Mars retrograde at the end of May.
Right.
And
but
then we went into Mercury retrograde in the beginning of June.
Yeah, but the heavier planets were still in retrograde.
So, okay, so
The slow-moving planets.
Pluto was still,
yeah.
okay.
And we've got one more. She was telling me, and I can't remember the litany now. I think Saturn came out July 21st. Something else came out in June. We've got Uranus and Pluto left. And Pluto is coming out, or Pluto just came out, and Uranus is coming out in November, I think.
And so what do you...
So then all of a sudden it'll be clear, except for Mercury always goes in and out.
So what do you say to people, when we have talks like this about astrology and planetary alignments that say, oh, those planets don't have any effect on me, and it's you can't believe in that, that's the devil, all that stuff. What do you say to people?
I let them be where they are.
Yeah.
I don't, if it doesn't affect them and they don't believe it affects them, it probably won't.
Right.
And it's not their perspective. So, I just meet people where they are. I tend to see things, you hear me say it at the end of every invocation, is as above, so below, as within, so without.
Mm-hmm. In the present moment.
And so to me, and we've talked about this before, when Mercury goes retrograde, or when all the planets are going retrograde, it's a reflection of humanity, of what's going on. I don't think it's any accident that we were bombing Syria when
Absolutely.
Pluto came out of retrograde.
Absolutely.
I don't think it was. That was a big deal.
And things coming out, like with the veteran that broke through the White House and got all the way up. He got into the White House before anybody got him. Now it's coming out that, wow, maybe the Secret Service isn't as good as we thought they were.
Well, maybe they're human.
Right, exactly.
You know.
So all of these things are coming to light.
Yeah, and
It's going to happen on a global level.
Right.
And it's going to happen on a personal level.
And in astrological terms, not not astronomical, but astrological terms. It's the energy. The energy is lining itself up for humanity to, it's reflecting humanity and the lessons that humanity needs to learn. And we're right on track
Yeah.
for what we need to learn. If we're
Right.
going to learn, it's like I said, the first time in history we have all these Arab nations united against one faction. That's never happened before.
Yes, yes, and actually in the bombings, our Air Force is obviously involved, but the French are involved.
But it's
the
not just,
Egyptians.
it's the
Right.
Egyptians, it's the
Yeah.
other Iraqis, it's the other Iranians, it's the, that's never been heard of.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
Right.
You know.
So what I'm interested in, and I was just talking to a friend of mine this morning, and he's a big one on conspiracy and stuff, and I just said, look, I have to do my best to stay in the moment, because it's the work that I do. It's every time I get out of the moment, if I'm back in the past, if I'm feeding my past, I'm not in the moment.
And it's
If I'm ruminating and chewing on it one more time, I'm not in the moment.
well, because all we can do, and what I do is I just pray about it.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's not my problem to solve, but the best I can do is pray. There's other people that are trained, our military is trained to do what they do. And our politicians do what they do.
So you can do a ritual for everything from do a little ritual in the morning. Do one where you write down the things you're worried about and put some sage around it, or put some lavender on it, or whatever it is that means something to you, and burn it and send the energy up to the universe.
Absolutely.
And pray for the best to happen, and then let it go.
And then some people
and do the best you can.
Some people will meditate or pray when they're in the shower or the bathtub, because water is a healing element.
It's the big one I work. I work with water all the time.
And so it kind of goes back to washing away that energy of the previous night and whatever happened, and starting your day off not only physically clean but energetically cleansed.
Well, and if you remember when we did that ceremony this weekend, one of the things that came through, and I say came through because I had no idea I was going to say it before it happened, was talking about the feminine aspect, how water is aligned with the feminine aspect, not meaning female, but the feminine aspect of being flexible. We have a caller.
Oh, welcome to Soul Chat.
Yeah. I can hear barely.
Ooh, caller, we
Hello.
can't. Hi.
Oh, I can barely hear you. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Welcome to Soul Chat.
Thank you. I am curious what you ladies think about meditation before bed and crossing that veil between being awake and asleep.
Okay, there's a couple of things about meditation. If you're going to meditate, I recommend at least an hour before you go to sleep and not in your bed. The reason you don't meditate in your bed is because it can raise your vibration or the vibration of the bed so high that you can't sleep. And it can send you into a theta state if you fall asleep while you're meditating, and then you'll have weird dreams. So I would recommend meditating a half hour to an hour before.
But you don't dream in a beta dream state.
You can. Oh, I know who this is. How are things out in Colorado?
Wonderful.
Awesome. Cheyenne, I want you to meet Elena. Elena, Cheyenne.
I knew you knew her.
Yes.
I knew you knew her.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what do you recommend, my friend?
That's why I was asking you ladies, because we were talking about the veil and crossing over, and we've been talking about it a lot when I'm finishing my doctorate.
Oh, good.
So I was just really curious to get all the different points of view about what the veil is. Is it okay to do it right before bedtime? Does it include when you're in a theta brainwave? There's just a lot of ways to look at it, and I was just curious for two more opinions.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, shamanic journey is you're going into a theta state, and it's thought that the dream time is actually where we're going in shamanic journey.
Astral traveling, you mean?
It's not astral traveling because shamanic journey is driven by an intent. Astral projection may or may not have an intention behind it. It's leaving your body and just going. But shamanic journey is driven by an intent, and what's known about shamanic healers is that we are literally going into an altered state of consciousness that is on the other side.
But would you recommend doing that before going to bed?
I do it all the time.
Yeah, see, and you're hardly ever in your body.
Oh, I'm there. But this is when you hear about shape-shifting Have you heard about shape-shifting, Diane?
Cheyenne.
I could almost talk.
I can barely hear you, ladies. I'm sorry. Would you repeat that?
Have you heard about shape-shifting? Have you heard reference
have.
to shape-shifting? What's happening
I have,
is
but being a psychic and being someone who does communicate with the other side, I'm also working with people who have no comprehension of what that side looks like.
right.
So talking about shape-shifting or talking about, out-of-body experiences isn't the level that a first-time client is when they come
No.
into you.
Absolutely.
But you do need to take them through meditation and stress techniques.
Well, see, and I teach shamanic journey and beginning shamanic journey skills. And what I tell them is that the difference between meditation and shamanic journey is that in shamanic journey, you feel like you have left your body. You feel like you're gone. Your physical body is still in this reality, but your consciousness is totally on the other side. And the reason that we do drumming is because it acts as an anchor to come back. That's the difference between shamanic healers and meditation, because you are still here.
Well, in some meditations, though, I leave.
Yeah, but
I leave.
some people do a combination, and
Yeah.
you can do it's there's a fine line between it. But I go into a theta state all the time when I go to sleep, but it's driven by my intention. So if you want to go into a theta state and just wander around, I wouldn't recommend it. But if I want to go to my inner garden and I want to go to sleep in the arms of my guiding spirit or in my power animal, my snow leopard, if I want to curl up with my snow leopard and sleep for the night, that's what I'll do. But it's driven by
So
an
what
intention.
would you suggest for people who do, everybody goes through a theta brainwave to get to delta sleep.
Right.
It's the way the brain works.
It is
So
how
what
it
would
works.
you suggest for people? They are going to have to travel through theta. What, as a shamanic healer, would you suggest for first-time clients to get them through that theta into that deeper sense of, consciousness or out of body?
Well, it's what we do as shamanic healers is how we do that is we do it with monotonous sound. So what they know is that at 200 beats per minute on a drum, the brain waves change to a theta state. So sound will help them do that. And it's typically a monotonous sound or something like a nature sound that will do that. You can see it on an oscilloscope.
And Jane, would you say the bowls are good for that? Because Jane, I know you're big on the bowls.
Yes, I would say the bowls are very good for that.
Yes.
Yes, the bowls, and I agree with nature CDs, but I love the crystal bowls and the Tibetan bowls. Absolutely. Right. They're not only good for getting to that other side, it's really good for clearing you and getting rid of any worries. But yes, I have friends that go to sleep with a CD of the Tibetan bowls. Absolutely.
And I can also tell you, because I just had it happen this weekend, is that how you know you are in that other reality is time goes away. Time is man-made. It's of this side. And so I will have people, I just took them through an 8-minute journey, and this weekend I had 20 people in a room. And they went through shamanic journey, and they went to their safe place in nature. And I don't think we went to the inner garden. I think we just went to the safe place in nature.
I wasn't there.
Yeah. And what I told them is that I would ask them individually, how long do you think they were gone? One person said an hour. Another person said a half an hour. Another person said it wasn't enough time, right? I don't know how long I was gone. Time goes away when you're on the other side.
Because it's just existence.
Yeah.
And you know from being intuitive yourself that you can, when you're meditating, you can actually do something, and we've discussed this, going to council, or you're bringing in messages while you're meditating, and that can happen while you're sleeping also.
And the other thing is that in shamanic journey, when we go on this, again, it's the intention. So the direction I give them is you are going to go to your safe place in nature, and what we are going to do is meet a power animal. So between that intention and the drum, that's how we get to the theta state. Does that make sense? Does that help?
I think you guys have done an amazing job explaining this as a new ritual or ceremony to people who are just starting out. I think that's amazing advice, and very, very appreciative I have a whole group of my clients listening to you guys right now as their first assignments.
Awesome.
And I just want to thank both of you ladies, because that's a great way. I know we're talking rituals and ceremonies. Beautiful way to get them started on a new ceremony or ritual within their daily time.
And I just want to, you to give a plug to your business and how people can get in touch with you and what you do.
I am actually a licensed naturopathic physician. I'm working through Colorado Springs right now, and you can reach me at Synergy Holistic Health at hotmail.com or Synergy Holistic Health at
Gmail.
I'm sorry, www.synergyholistichealth.net.
And
Either way.
and do you have a business Facebook page?
I do not right now.
Oh dear.
I am not the technology guru. You guys should see what it took me to get through to your ritual show today.
Just
But
be
it will be up and
just
coming. And if
be
you
careful.
need anything, just get a hold of Jane and she can
Yep.
get you to me.
Right,
and I
right.
have referred a lot of my clients to you, and I know you do nutritional analysis through email and phone conversations. And I have to tell you, this is my friend Cheyenne, and it was heartbreaking when she moved to Denver, or now Colorado Springs. But we've been friends since 2007, and I would recommend her for what she does, and I really would. And and you know I've referred
thank
clients
you,
to you,
doll.
so yeah,
Thank you so
That's-
much.
Nice to meet you, Cheyenne.
yeah, I know, right?
Nice to meet you, too. You ladies have a wonderful evening. Namaste.
Namaste,
Namaste.
my friend.
So we're going to leave you now because we only have a couple of minutes left.
Right. So
And
contact information then.
Contact information for me. You can reach me at info@shamanicsong SHAMANICSONG.com. And today is the last day. If you would like the whole song, I'll email you the MP3 of Here I Am, which is the song you hear at the top of the hour, and then you can hear more than one verse. And what else? I'll be at Well of the Moon this Sunday at 4 p.m. getting people ready for the blood moon. And you are?
My contact information, my website is Pranic Jane LV. I am at Well of the Moon Wednesday through Saturdays. You can reach me for a reading or pranic healing at 702-204-7750. I will be at the Meadows this Sunday, 2900 South Valley View, 2 to 4, angel meditation and how to contact your angels, and soul chat, like our Facebook page.
So we leave you with this ritual at night. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and be grateful for at least 3 things that
Absolutely.
happen during the day,
Yep.
and ask for the angels to sing you to sleep.
Yep, because
And that's
they
enough
will.
right there.
Right. See you next time when
Next
we discuss
time.
the blood moon and Mercury retrograde with Mary Rose, a local
Right.
psychic from Las Vegas.
Next week, see ya.